Feminine psychology is layered. Women use questions the way men use actions. When a man is drawn to someone, he offers help, direction, support, or protection. When a woman is drawn to someone, she asks a question that hints at closeness. There are endless questions a woman might ask in daily life, but only two appear consistently when she is gently exploring intimacy with a mature man. I will share them soon. But first, recognize something important. She does not ask because she is trying to pry into your life. She asks because she wants to sense your emotional warmth. She wants to feel, is he calm? Is he steady? Is he open to my energy? Does he stand in his masculine or hide behind politeness? These questions are not about information. They're about connection. They create a small pull between you and her. Think of them as emotional bridges she places carefully to see whether you step onto them with presence. And when you do, everything shifts in her mind and her body. Most men respond to these questions at face value, but a wiser, more grounded man understands the deeper meaning behind her words. Because when she asks them, she isn't collecting data. She is checking alignment. She is checking your awareness. She is checking whether you are the kind of man who notices things beneath the surface. When a woman is drawn to you, she does not need you to show off money, strength, or stories. She needs to feel that you are conscious, present, and calm. These two questions matter because they are not random curiosity. They are invitations. If that's something you need to understand clearly, hit subscribe and stay with me all the way to the end. Because the final section of this video reveals exactly what women are really deciding in those moments, and most men over 50 never realize it is even happening. Let's get into it. 1. Why these two questions matter for men over 50. By the time a man reaches his 50s or 60s, many women assume something about him. They believe he has already lived most of his emotional stories. So they hesitate to step into his life unless they feel certain they won't become just a side character. These two questions, soft, simple, almost invisible, are her way of checking whether there is space for her, and whether the man she wants is living with purpose or just moving through life. The psychologist Carl Rogers wrote, "The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change." A man who has reached that level of self-acceptance radiates something unmistakable. He doesn't need to perform. He doesn't need to explain. He simply is, and women over 50 are more attuned to that quality than almost any other age group. You can ignore compliments. You can overlook body cues. But if you miss these two questions, you miss the moment a woman is trying to open a door. And once a door closes, most women do not open it again. When a woman wants intimacy with an older man, not just friendly conversation but real emotional and physical closeness, she tests the connection with two specific questions. These questions repeat across cultures, ages, and backgrounds because they come straight from feminine psychology. They are not about your schedule, your income, or your past. They are about two things only, your openness and your direction. And both of those qualities are entirely within your control, regardless of your age. Understanding why these questions matter is the foundation. But now let's look at the second question first, because it is the one that defines whether she moves closer or quietly retreats. 2. The second question, what are you looking for these days? This question is never casual. It is not small talk. It is not simple curiosity. It is a woman exploring you as a romantic option. If she felt nothing for you, she would never risk something so direct. It feels too personal, too exposed, and too intimate. Women save this question for men they see as potentially meaningful in their lives. She may phrase it differently. What do you want in your life right now? What direction are you moving in? What are you focusing on lately? What do you want at this stage of life? What are you hoping to find these days? The philosopher Viktor Frankl wrote, "Those who have a why to live can bear with almost any how." When a woman asks this question, she is asking for your why. She wants to feel whether your life is pointed at something, or simply drifting forward with no anchor, no intention, no inner compass. For a woman to open herself emotionally or physically to a man, especially a mature man, she needs to sense that he knows who he is, knows what he wants, is not wandering through life, is not stuck in old emotional stories, and is not just filling time. He moves with intention. Men who answer too literally do not realize they are breaking the moment. When a man says, "I am just looking for peace," or "I am taking each day as it comes," or "I am not sure right now," she hears something else entirely. She hears drifting. And women do not invest themselves in men who drift, no matter the age. If you want to answer with masculine clarity, you do not need a long explanation. You do not need to reveal your whole life. You only need direction. You can say something like, "I am building a simpler, stronger chapter with the right people." Or, I am looking for connection that feels natural, not forced. Or, I am focusing on living with intention, experiences, and meaningful moments. These kinds of responses do three things for her. They show you are moving, not stuck. They show emotional clarity, that you know what you want. And they open a quiet space where she can imagine herself fitting into your direction. This is powerful for a woman. It gives her a signal she hopes for, proof that you are not emotionally asleep. Because here is something most men over 50 never fully realize. Women want a man who is alive inside. Not just physically present, but emotionally awake. Now, if the second question is about your direction, the first question is about something even more immediate. It is about access. And how you respond to it determines whether she ever asks the second question at all. 3. The first question, do you spend a lot of time alone? It sounds harmless, but it is not. It is her way of asking, is there room? Women always test for space first. Is he open or closed off? Does he have space for closeness, or is he locked inside his habits? Women ask it in different forms. Do you usually go out alone? Do you keep to yourself? If you seem like a man who likes solitude, is that true? Are you seeing anyone or just doing your own thing lately? This question is never about loneliness. It is about access. The psychologist Abraham Maslow wrote, in any given moment we have two options, to step forward into growth or to step back into safety. When a woman asks if you spend a lot of time alone, she is measuring which direction you are moving, toward life, toward connection, toward growth, or inward, away, behind closed routines and comfortable distance. A woman asks this only when she has already pictured herself in your space, somewhere near your life. She is trying to learn whether you are welcoming or emotionally unavailable. If she did not feel anything for you, she would not care how you spend your time. But when she feels drawn to the stability and calm that many mature men carry, she wants to know if she can enter your world without forcing her presence. Most men reply, too literally, yes, I am alone a lot. No, not really. It depends. But a steady man hears the meaning behind the words. She is checking your openness. She is testing your availability. She is seeing whether closeness with you is truly possible. To answer in a way that builds attraction, stay balanced, calm, steady, and open, but never needy. Say something like, I enjoy my space, but I am always open to good company. Or, I like my routines, but I am open to someone who adds something meaningful. This does two things at once. It tells her you are emotionally open without being desperate. And it gently hints that she might be someone you could let into your life. This tone is exactly what women want. Open but not empty. Receptive but not needy. Strong without being cold. When you respond this way, she feels warmth, possibility, and emotional safety. And that naturally leads her to the second question, the one that reveals her deeper interest. 2 questions. 2 emotional checkpoints. But understanding each one separately is only half the picture. What truly matters is how they work together, and what happens inside her mind when both answers land the right way. 4. How the 2 questions work together. These 2 questions are deeply connected to female desire. And here is why. Women do not test men randomly. They test based on emotional readiness. When she asks, do you spend a lot of time alone? She is measuring your openness. When she asks, what are you looking for these days? She is measuring your direction. And the logic is simple. A man who is open and moving with purpose creates emotional pull. He becomes someone worth leaning into. The philosopher Aristotle observed, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act but a habit. A man who consistently answers these 2 emotional checkpoints with calm presence and clear direction is not performing. He has built those qualities through daily habits of self-awareness and intentional living. And women feel the difference between performance and reality immediately. Women do not need perfection. They need clarity. Clarity gives safety. And safety awakens desire. This is why these 2 questions appear again and again, even if the woman does not consciously understand why she is asking them. Picture this in a real-life moment. You are talking with a woman, maybe in a cafe, a bookstore, at a friend's place, or even online. The conversation feels smooth. There is ease, almost a soft tension. She laughs a little more than needed. She touches her hair. She looks at you with warmth. Then suddenly she asks, so, do you spend a lot of time alone? This is her first emotional step toward you. It is her opening the door slightly. If you respond with presence, she feels encouraged. If you answer with confusion or shut it down, the energy drops instantly. Later, minutes or days, she asks, what are you looking for at this stage of life? This is her second step. This is her deciding if she should go deeper. If you answer with clarity, she feels possibility. If you answer with uncertainty, she retreats. Men think these moments are random. They are not. They are emotional checkpoints. And women almost never ask these two questions to a man they feel nothing for. Knowing how these questions connect gives you awareness. But awareness alone is not enough. There is one final truth about these moments, one that most men discover only after the opportunity has already passed them by. 5. Why women never ask these questions twice. Here is what you must never forget. A woman who wants intimacy will not say it openly. She will not confess it. She will not push herself on you. She will ask two questions. Are you open emotionally? Do you spend a lot of time alone? Are you emotionally alive? What are you looking for these days? These questions are not about your plans. They are about your energy. When you notice them, you enter the moment with presence. When you fail to notice them, the moment disappears. The philosopher Lao Tzu wrote, "Knowing others is wisdom. Knowing yourself is enlightenment." A man who has done the inner work of knowing himself will always recognize these questions for what they are, because he has already asked himself the same things. He knows his openness. He knows his direction. And when she tests for both, he answers from a place of genuine clarity. Not performance, not rehearsal, but truth. Women rarely offer the same emotional invitation twice. When they open a door, it is only once. If you miss it, through confusion, through literal answers, through lack of presence, it closes. Quietly, without drama, without explanation. She simply moves on. This is especially important for mature men, because women hold older men to a different standard. A younger man can be uncertain and still be seen as figuring out his life. But a man over 50 is expected to know who he is. That expectation is not a burden. It is an opportunity. It means that when you do show up with presence, clarity, and calm, the impact on her is immediate and powerful. She is not looking for a perfect man. She is looking for a present one. A man whose life has space. A man whose direction is clear. A man who recognizes the door she is quietly opening and steps through it with intention. If you remember just one thing from this video, let it be this. A woman does not test your words. She tests your presence and your awareness. If you can recognize the questions she uses to signal desire, you will never again wonder whether a woman is interested in you. Here is the final truth that brings everything together. Women communicate attraction in ways that are subtle, emotional, and often invisible to men who expect direct signals. What makes this especially important for mature men is that women see older men differently than they see younger ones. They expect more depth, more presence, and more clarity. A younger man can be confused, uncertain, or inconsistent and still be seen as figuring out his life. But a man over 50 is judged by a different standard. Women assume he has lived through enough to know who he is and what he wants. That is why their interest shows up through emotional signals rather than obvious gestures. When a woman asks questions that touch your openness or your direction, she is not just trying to get information. She is trying to feel your emotional landscape. She wants to know if approaching you will be worth it. And the answer lives entirely in how consciously, how calmly, and how clearly you respond. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced one of these moments and only realized later what she was actually asking? Or have you used this awareness and felt the energy shift in your favor? Drop your story in the comments below. I read every single one, and I will personally reach out to some of you because your experience matters and this conversation deserves to be heard. And if this video gave you something real to think about, like it, share it with someone who needs to hear this today, and subscribe if you haven't already because we go deep on exactly these kinds of truths every single week. Because a woman does not test your words. She tests your presence. And once you understand that, everything changes. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. It genuinely means everything to me. I'll see you in the next video. Take care of yourself.